skip this intro. Developers took away their industrial complex looking apartment. They wanted to cash in on this new mall that's being built nearby. Fucking capitalists. Why would you help these broke students out when you can cash in right now? So, what's a poor art student to do? The title gives it away in Netflix's new documentary, Secret Mall Apartment. So it started as a joke contest among friends. Their apartment was taken away, so what are they gonna do? So they had this contest of who could stay in this new mall the longest. You know, who could, before a security guard figures out you've been there for 23 hours, find a place to live. So what happens is this one guy, one smart guy among a group of friends, looks at the way the building is built, and he figures in this one little spot, he was like, there can't possibly be anything in there. Like, it must be an empty room. So of course they go to check it out, and boom, it's this big empty living space. So what do? They move in, and they really move in. There's this like rickety ladder that kind of goes up to the area where this apartment is, and they manage to move in a couch, a TV, a PlayStation, even a set of cabinets. It's amazing that nobody caught these guys. They just moved right in. And even more amazing than sneaking your way into a secret mall apartment, this takes place in 2001. They managed to film so much of it, and it's so creative. They found a little digital camera that was like literally this big, and they they made a contraption out of an Altoids tin so that it could kind of always be in their pocket recording. So you get to see all of this like behind the scenes footage from 9/11 days of them like preparing everything and them actually moving it in. And not only do you get to see all this like early 2000s mall footage and everything that's going, all the shenanigans that are going around in this hidden apartment of theirs, you actually get to see this whole story about how these art students are actually creating their own weird forms of art in that period because they lived in this mall apartment. They got away with it for 4 years. 4 years! So yeah, see this documentary, not just for the nostalgia of the Y2K footage and all of the, if you grew up in the Mallrats era like I did, see it for the unique story of their art, and some of it really is like some heady art. People used to want to live in a mall, and now you probably couldn't pay people to go to a mall. So see this, and I don't know what to do with the malls. Maybe build apartments in the malls. So The Rock himself is swinging for an Oscar. On HBO, you can see The Smashing Machine. It's the story of Mark Kerr. He's one of the UFC guys, like way back in the day when UFC was like VHS tapes you used to pass around. This is back in that era. He's one of the original fighters. And it's by one of the guys who helped make Uncut Gems, if you remember that Sandler movie a couple years ago. That was really good. And this movie kind of shares a little sliver of a similarity of what Uncut Gems was, because it deals with addiction. But the character The Rock is playing, Mark Kerr, he's not the scumbag we saw in Uncut Gems. He's a fighter. He's not dumb, but he's just a big brute. He might be the most sensitive guy in this story. For a guy who's like 6'5", 250-pound wall of muscle, he actually uses his words, maybe better than what I'm using right now. Instead of getting into a fight with people who provoke him, he's very calm. I mean, he's a guy who could like throw you through a wall. In fact, there's this great scene in the movie which doesn't even involve fighting. The Rock is with Emily Blunt, who's a complete problem of her own in this story. Like, she's got her own fucking problems he has to deal with. But there's this great scene where they're at a demolition derby, and you can kind of see in Mark Kerr's eyes that he's putting together the way these guys in demolition derby are smashing into each other and getting hurt and getting like dragged out of the car. He has this moment where he's like, oh, this is what I do to people. And it's a good dramatic moment for a movie that's about fighting. And he's even got this buddy, his best friend in the movie. I forget the character's name. but they go off to some fighting tournament in Japan, and the whole big worry is that, they're both in this tournament and that they might have to fight each other. So the story of Mark Kerr, for a guy I didn't know anything about before I watched this movie, this guy definitely lived one hell of a life. It's worth watching. Is it as good as Uncut Gems? No. Uncut Gems is in its own atmosphere. But because this is by the same guys, it's still really good. I had only kind of half remembered how brutal those early days of the UFC were, because a lot of those matches are super one-sided. Go on HBO, watch it, give it a chance. I don't think it's going to win any Oscars, but it was nominated. And if you are into the world of UFC and you want a kind of quick history lesson with a good story about a guy you never heard of before who has to go through all this addiction but kind of comes out on the other side okay, then check it out. Not all monkey movies can be about violent, dick-ripping apes like we saw in Primate. Sometimes you want to watch an old movie where a funeral is turned into a literal circus act, and that's what you get in Going Ape, the movie where Tony Danza inherits an ape family. So you see, Tony's dad ran a circus, but when he died, it's all going away. He's selling it. Tony didn't want anything to do with the circus. He went off to do God knows what. And when you see him in his apartment, he's selling counterfeit splinters of Babe Ruth's bat. So it's gotten bad. So they have the will reading, and it turns out if Tony accepts the ape family, takes care of them, makes sure they live, he's got to keep them for a few years for the deal to go through, but he'll inherit $5 million. That's kind of tough to turn down. I might take in those apes too. So how this wasn't the subject of an 80s sitcom, I don't know, but they saved it for this movie. So pretty much what you think happens. The apes get into the apartment, they cause nothing but trouble. They trash it twice. The part I didn't see coming is that hitmen are hired to take out the apes, because if he can't fulfill his duty for whatever happens, if the ape gets sick and dies, if the ape gets shot in the face and dies, he loses the $5 million and it goes to some foundation. So the foundation hears about this and they go and they hire some Guido hitmen. And one of the hitmen is, you'll recognize his face immediately. He was definitely in Goodfellas. I don't know how he died in Goodfellas. Maybe he was the meat locker guy, but it's definitely the guy. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Danny DeVito is also in this movie? He plays a guy named Laszlo, and he kind of comes with the apes. I don't know why he has to move into Tony Danza's apartment too, but he does. And he hits on his girlfriend's mom all the time. So yeah, there's a lot of, even though I mentioned hitmen being in this movie, this is not a serious movie. Like zany, I guess, or cartoon-like is the word I would be looking for. Like there's multiple instances where people fall out a window, and in any other movie they would be dead. But there always seems to be a fountain or something for them to fall into. It's from the early 80s, and it very much reminds me of those Disney family live-action movies you would see. Like, remember Herbie the Love Bug? It would easily fit in that universe. It's not streaming anywhere for free online, but I did find out that any major service, like if you have Amazon Prime or Apple, they're going to charge you the $3 or $4 to rent it. So if you want to get thrown back to the early days of when Tony Danza was big, and even Danny DeVito, if you're looking for a dumb monkey movie and you want to see like apes just dancing around and smashing people's stuff and them getting angry over it, then Going Ape is the movie for you.